Fantasy people, this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Banjo, the dog, coming at you live from my living room. And this is the Fantasy Footballin' Show. Today's episode, week 14, Fantasy Footballin' on a budget. So this is our waiver wire show. I tell you how much to spend on and who to spend it on. You know, free agency budget, $100. You probably have close to zero right now. But like I said last week, try to hold on to your cash. Because this is the time when you really need it, you know, for a defense or, some of these handcuffs I'm going to talk about here in a minute, or a lot of these players right now. Like if you had $10, you could probably get a lot of these players. So first off, if I could just ask you guys to please take a second and give us a thumbs up, that would be amazing, please. Or a thumbs down if you don't like us. That's cool too. Leave a comment, start, sit, all that kind of stuff. We love it. So here we go. Without further ado, this is a very, I'm not going to just like list as many of like the lottery ticket people that I was listing before, because this is not the time to be playing the lottery. We need like touches and opportunities, that's what we're going for. So first off, he is 58% owned, but I'm wondering if people are going to drop him because Michael Carter Jr. was back. Zonovan Knight. I just want to encourage people not to drop. So let me grab this dog real fast. She wants her time. And then after that, okay, this is a big one too. So when Chubba Hubbard, right, they traded Christian McCaffrey away, he had first crack at being the starter, and it was pretty much a 50-50 timeshare. So this last week, it kind of worked out that way. And he's kind of, I watched the game. He looks pretty healthy. So where is he? Chubba Hubbard. He's only 19% owned, so he's out there. And he had 17 carries versus Denver the week before the bye. He got another week to get healthy, came out 14 for 74, 1 touchdown. But this is the big thing, 3 receptions for 25 yards. So he's getting double-digit carries and most of the receiving work. I really like Chubba Hubbard. You could start him in your flex. I would spend pretty much, 75% of your fab, whatever you have on him. He is, let's see, home versus the 13th ranked Pittsburgh defense this next week. So not really a great matchup, but not terrible. And they're committed to the run. So he is, might not get all, because like Jason was saying, he had a Deontay Foreman. He's a Deontay Foreman owner. Hey, and my dogs are like fighting right now. And he was like, oh yeah. So Deontay Foreman, rush to the 1 yard line. And then Chubba Hubbard came in and vultured that touchdown. So yeah, they are going to use Deontay Foreman in the red zone, but I think no matter what, third down back, Chubba Hubbard is there, and he's going to get a lot of early down work too. I really like him. Next up, Jerrick McKinnon, 35% owned. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was injured, kind of cleared up the depth chart a little bit. Isaiah Pacheco just runs the ball. He is really not a pass catcher right now. So 10 touches and 1 TD versus Cincinnati last week. And now he had 6, carries for 22 yards, but 7 receptions for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. So people, if you notice, defenses are really keying in on Travis Kelce right now. And I think they're playing, I didn't check, but, the week before they're playing a lot of their Russian 3. That's how the Bengals beat them. So if they're Russian 3 and keeping everybody back, it's going to be a lot of throws underneath, to the running backs available. So Jerrick McKinnon, you could probably flex him out during your playoffs, depending on how deep your league is. I really like him. He is at Houston next week. So sweet matchup there. Next up. So now we're kind of getting to the backup territory, but still, dude, Jordan Mason. I still love what I see out of Jordan Mason. Went 11 for, oh man, I didn't even write that. 11 for 50 something versus third-rate Tampa Bay defense last week. And then McCaffrey went 14 for 119 and a TD. So he gets the 31st ranked Seattle defense. Oh yeah, this last defense. So anyways, dude, so he's still getting 11 carries. I know this is confusing because I wrote these notes and they're not right. But all you need to know is Christian McCaffrey killed it, right? But Jordan Mason is a very valuable backup. He's not going to be quite the pass catcher that Christian McCaffrey is, and that's fine. I'm just wondering if they're going to continue with Brock Purdy. They might continue to really ride McCaffrey. I didn't think they would. I thought they'd put a lot more Jordan Mason in. But now with that injury to Garoppolo, I'm thinking that they might have to keep, Christian McCaffrey in there for Brock Purdy and comfort. So it's kind of discouraging, but still, as far as like handcuffing and maybe if you have to, depending on matchup, start him, you can get something out of him. But he's very touchdown dependent. But if Christian McCaffrey ever went down, he would literally be like a top 10 running back in this league, no problem. And then speaking of kind of, handcuff stuff, Gary Brightwell, I mentioned his name like 2 weeks ago because he outproduced Saquon, and he looked amazing. And then he got 0 touches last week. And then this week, Saquon kind of hurt his neck, tweaked his neck during practice or before practice this last week. And it limited him, Thursday, Friday, barely even practice. And then he went through the walkthroughs on Saturday. It was a game time decision. Anyways, Brightwell got his chance a little bit. So Saquon had 11 touches. Brightwell had 7. That was versus the Eagles. So Brightwell averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Saquon averaged 3.1. I think it's just a great insurance policy. But I wouldn't start, I wouldn't start Brightwell unless Saquon is injured. So if you're a Saquon owner, I would really go out there and get this Gary Brightwell guy. And then, I would say Dontrell Hilliard for a handcuff, but he's injured right now. I saw that. So you're going to go through the depth charts and check out, see who's really doing well for you right now and see who's playing behind them and just pick up your handcuffs because these random depth people that you have right now are not going to be as valuable as if one of your players went down. You have a championship caliber team. You need to back that up. Just to keep you afloat. Don't try to gamble away on these other people still because that'd be 100%. You don't need it. Anyways, wide receivers, Treylon Burks is coming back this week. Concussion protocol. So last time we saw him, he got a touchdown in the second drive. It was his only target. But hey, man, he's a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL on a team, and he's on your waiver wire. So 47% still. Averaging 7 targets a game since, coming back from injury and caught a touchdown in his first target late in the first quarter. So he plays the 12th ranked Chargers this next week. So you just saw how good a defense they played against Miami. So hopefully that just doesn't carry over. But and without Treylon Burks, Titans have been getting rolled on. So I don't know if he's actually been super valuable for them or if it's just really bad timing for the Titans. Because usually the Titans are peaking around right now. It's just not the case. And then, dude, it's been on this every week. I don't understand how this guy is not 80% owned. Taz, stop it. Dude. She found the candy canes on our tree, the real candy canes. I don't know if dogs get sick and die off. Anyways, we'll not talk about that. Every time I see this dog eating something, it's she ate all the grapes off our vine. Oh, guess what, dude? Dogs aren't supposed to eat grapes. Oh, she ate all of our something else. Guess what? Dogs aren't supposed to eat that. Ridiculous. I don't understand how dogs have survived this long. Donovan Peoples-Jones, man. 44% owned. Still, isn't that crazy? I bet he's not available in your league. It's probably all these random leagues that, people own, draft, and never play. Banjo, please stop. So Cooper dealing with a lingering hip issue. He was questionable after that game. He was second in targets last week on Deshaun Watson's first game back, right? And he led in receiving yards that game. Now this week, he led all receivers, in targets with 12 and receiving yards with 114 against the 5th-ranked Bengals defense. And now he faces a 25th-ranked Baltimore defense. So yeah, dude, Donovan Peoples-Jones might win people championships, and that's no joke. The one time I really tried to pick him up, early, Jason picked him up right before me. It's probably because he watched my – see, I need to pick up people and then – do this show. Well, I can't because I do this show and then the waivers go through. I think I'm just have to deal with this for the rest of my life, as long as I'm doing this show. I just have to deal with people taking all my players now. It sucks, but worth it. Elijah Moore, 33% owned, right? Led Jets in targets this last week versus the Bills' 20th ranked pass defense. And that turned into 10 for, oh my God, with 10 targets, that turned into 6 catches for 60 yards. He is the slot receiver in this offense and should be heavily involved as long as Mike White is the starter. Solid just came out and said Mike White is okay enough to play next week. So you saw he got injured, but regardless, even if they put in Joe Flacco, because they're going to be playoff bound, Elijah Moore is going to continue to succeed. So, and they're going against Detroit next week. So Detroit ranks 28th in pass defense. So he's got 1 touchdown in the last 3. Next up, I like this guy a lot. People are talking about Van Jefferson and Ben Skowronek. I was like, dude, this Tutu Atwell guy looks pretty awesome. And we caught that 65-yard touchdown like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Anyways, led Rams in targets this last week versus the 19th ranked Las Vegas Raiders defense with 9, while also rushing the ball 2 times. So his 5 catches were career high, and he looks like the dynamic target. He really does look like the dynamic catch receiver, pass receiver in that offense. And Baker Mayfield likes him, dude. He was was he the most targeted? Yeah, led Rams in targets. So faces the Packers next Monday night. It's gonna be a national broadcast game. Baker Mayfield's probably gonna show out, especially against Aaron Rodgers, or he might just turn into a pumpkin, as soon as something becomes expected of him, he might do bad. But we'll see. I do like Tutu Atwell. I've liked him for about 3 weeks. So it's continuing on. You might be able to flex him if you're brave for fantasy playoffs. Alec Pierce, 11% owned, 8 targets in 2 of the last 3 with a fat 0 in the middle of those 2 good games. And then he went on a bye this last week. So hopefully he's out there. And let's see. Looks like the best receiving option on this team. Yes, he does. So he's playing the 26th ranked Minnesota defense this week. And you saw what Detroit just did to Minnesota. Minnesota's defense sucks, man, right now. They were leading the league in sacks. Zadarius Smith or whatever they got was amazing. He's been hobbled. Ever since he got hobbled, they have sucked. It's not good for the Vikings right now. I'd much rather flip the script, have them lose everything in the, be terrible in the beginning and then get really good later on. But I should have known, as soon as people started paying attention to the Vikings, after they were 8-1 or whatever it was, I should have known they were going to go downhill. Sucks. So yeah, Alec Pierce, I think would be a great play. And then here we go. Jameson Williams, DJ Chark. Jameson Williams, we've been talking about him forever. That first round draft pick, even like the best wide receiver coming out of college last year. But he tore his ACL. He's been taking forever to come back. He finally is back for the, Detroit Lions. That was a blown coverage play, so you didn't really get to see his speed or skill on that. But I think he's worth paying attention to. And then DJ Chark, man. DJ Chark has got me to a championship before, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember when. Or at least to a hot start. And then I traded him to get me to a championship. DJ Chark. DJ Chark. Where is that? Oh, 98 yards last week versus Jacksonville, 94 yards and a touchdown this week versus and second in targets this last week. So the Vikings. Only problem is they get the Jets next week. So DJ Chark is probably going to get shouted by Sauce. Probably not good for him. The week after that, I will like DJ Chark. I was saying I didn't like Jared Goff next week either. I think Amon-Ra is going to be just fine. But Jared Goff, DJ Chark, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want to start until the week after that. And then let's see what else we got here. Oh, Mecole Hardman, 30% owned. Started lifting weights again last week. And then he tweeted soon. That's all he did. He just put SOON. Soon. Before Sunday's game. So Mecole Hardman they really need him right now, really. With Kadarius Toney. I don't really trust his hamstring right now. I would draft Kadarius Toney next year, but right now I wouldn't really want to deal with it. So, yeah, go out there and get him. And then, dude, tight end. Austin Hooper, led the team in yards. And then this guy right here, Chigoziem Okonkwo, 4% owned. Dude, I heard all this week that they wanted to get him more involved. They want to get him more involved. I hear that about everybody from coaches, but hey, dude, these people actually wanted to do it. And I was telling Jason, like, he's built like Njoku. He's not like the lanky tight end like Mark Andrews and Waller and stuff like that. This fool's like stout and jacked. So very athletic, shorter, maybe he's not as short, just so jacked he looks shorter. Anyways, 5 or more targets during the last 3 games. Caught all 6 targets for 45 yards and a touchdown versus the Jags this last week. He looked good doing it. Like, if you watched him, he has really good hands. And so Austin Hooper still involved, caught all 5 of his targets as well. But if you're going to go for the higher ceiling, I think Okonkwo is trending up, whereas Hooper's flat line are going down. Next up, Tyler Conklin, 38% owned, third on team in targets versus the 7th ranked Bills this last week. Went 5 for 28 on 8 targets at home versus the 28th ranked Detroit defense this next week. So, I mean, he's still third on the team in targets, and Mike White's going to throw the ball a ton of times. Usually, I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, you really need to get this tight end who's like third on team in targets. But if you're going to throw for almost 400 yards and like 40 something times, which Mike White's probably going to do against Detroit if he plays, I'd say go for it. So I like that matchup. And then here we go. Juwan Johnson, 15% owned. He was he ended up not playing the week before the bye, and then he had a bye. But before that, 5 touchdowns in his last 7 games. So there you go. You want to go pick him up. I think it says at home versus the Falcons this week, but I need to check on that. I don't know if that was old or not. And then here we go. Next up, Greg Dulcich had a 38% target share and 42% air yardage share in week 13. He was second in targets this last week with 8. And you saw Russell Wilson throw 3 touchdowns to Jerry Jeudy. That's not going to happen all the time, but hey, Russell Wilson just threw 3 times more touchdowns than he ever has almost this year. So you want to get in on that. And I think Greg Dulcich, is going to, progress in that, whereas Jerry Jeudy's going to regress in those 3 touchdown area. And then quarterbacks. Oh yeah, and he gets to play Arizona, the 32nd ranked Arizona defense next week. If you know anything about Arizona, they give up touchdowns and yards to tight ends all the time. And then next up, Jared Goff, 30% owned. 2 games in a row with over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns. Threw for 330 and 3 touchdowns versus my Vikings, 25th ranked pass defense this last week. But he does have to play the 8th ranked Jets defense this week. And if you heard what I was saying, I probably wouldn't want to start him against that. Quentin Williams might be injured. I was listening to Rich Eisen. He's a Jets fan. And so if Quentin Williams was injured, I'd probably think about it. But it's more about the Sauce Gardner and the secondary and all of that going on. So I would think twice about that, but definitely moving forward, week 2 and maybe even the finals, you could start Jared Goff. Watching that game, he looks so good. He really does. He must have been injured in the middle of the year or something. Plus, I was telling Jason, Amon-Ra was injured in the middle of the year, but he throws so well. He was hitting everybody. It wasn't like he was hyper-focused on just Amon-Ra, so I don't know. Then Mike White, 14% owned. Detroit this week, almost threw for 300 yards against the 7th ranked Buffalo defense this last week before getting injured. And then, like I said, Saleh announced that he is the starter next week versus the 32nd ranked, Detroit passing defense. So, and then a couple of defenses to target. Washington versus the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is just kind of stayed the same, man. And if he thinks he can run on Washington, it's probably not going to happen. Washington has been killing the run. I think they let go some yards last week or whatever. I remember talking to Jason about that. But for the most part, they've been amazing against the run. And I don't trust him to throw a bunch of touchdowns. And probably going to be a low-scoring divisional game anyways. Don't do it. Oh, man. Don't do it. Banjo, quit humping, man. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, Washington, New York Giants, plus Saquon is hobbled. And then Green Bay, I would like versus the LA Rams for obvious reasons. Baker Mayfield had to put together that 98-yard drive to get 200 yards. You know what I'm saying? So no offense really for the Rams to speak of. But I do like the home run hitter Tutu Atwell, like I said. And that's going to be it for us today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. This was the Fantasy Footballin' Show, and it still is. I think it's going to be tomorrow as well. So tune in. Oh, yeah. Next up we're doing will be, I don't know if there is a Thursday night football game. Jason said there might not be since there's Saturday night games. So maybe we'll do, maybe we'll just do something different on Thursday this week. We'll think of something because we need to keep the people entertained, right? Thanks again. We're out.